Welcome everyone to the Coffee House Network podcast. I'm here with Estrellita from the Dermabrite Clinic in Vancouver. If you had a chance to see us last week, we were talking, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, we were talking about the challenges of owners being just shut by the government like that in the spa business and hair business. And I work at a gym as well. We had to shut. It was the law. So we're just touching base and we're just looking at the things that she's doing and implementing to keep moving her business forward, even though she can't have her doors open. So welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah. So how about tell us, first of all, a little bit how we would find you later for anybody that comes on, and about your clinic and before your doors open, what you were doing, and then maybe an update on where you are now.
Great. Well, I started Dermabrite Clinic in 2012. I started with one room, renting from a doctor there, who was my holistic doctor. Actually, he happened to have some extra space, and I came from the corporate world. Before that, I was always involved with sort of senior management, marketing, and human resources type positions. But in the I guess mid 2000s, I went back to school to finish my degree, and the last course I took involved a program, a course around your life plan, developing your life plan and what you saw yourself doing. And one of the things that came out of that was my desire to actually start a small business. And because I was a single co-parenting parent, I wanted flexibility in my schedule, which meant if I had my own business, I would have that, right? I'd be able to go to school when I needed to, pick them up and do this, and just make my own hours. And I'd been consulting for a time before I'd finished my degree, and I was laid off in one of my positions. And that was really the last time I said I'm ever going to work for anybody. I didn't want somebody else being in control of my destiny. And so I had been consulting, and then I went through this learning of myself and decided that I wanted to start a small business. And so I had been working with a company that out of the US in Florida that had a particular aesthetic machine. And that was a very new, an industry that I'd never worked in before, but I really loved that machine. And I thought it was an amazing piece of technology. And I could see that the aesthetics world was changing. So it wasn't this traditional hands-on world anymore. Technology was kind of coming into this space, and it was really changing the way that industry was going. And this particular manufacturer had clients all throughout the US, and she wanted somebody in Canada to kind of be her representative. And so it started that I was going to be her rep. And so I got that machine. And I myself at the time had issues with melasma around my face from being pregnant. And that machine has an LED light feature, and it got rid of it. And I was like, this is amazing. So rather than just be a rep, I thought, well, I might as well put it to work. And so my doctor at that time said, hey, I have an extra room. It's got a sink and a shower. And that's how it started in 2012. And I hired my first esthetician back then to help me, because I really didn't know anything about aesthetics, to be honest. I just loved the machine, and I wanted to be part of something that I felt was revolutionary at that time. So Dermabrite Clinic was launched at that time to specialize. We started just doing facials because I had the one room at that time. And then really I've just evolved it in the 8 years since then. Ultimately, we took additional space on, and then the doctor actually moved to Alberta, and I took over the whole space, and I ended up.
When you did what a lot of entrepreneurs fail to do right out of the gate, is you found someone who knew more than you did right away.
In a few ways, for sure. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, in a certain area that you didn't have a strength, you hired that person on, and then you could focus on the business strengths.
Right, definitely, and figuring things out. I mean, I had to. Running a bricks and mortar business is very different than, say, consulting, where you're just really branding yourself. So because I had a background in marketing, though, that was very beneficial, because I just went down to the basics. And, I always say that marketing is really about two things. One is to know who your competition is, once you figure out what you want to do. But if you know your competition, you can see what they're doing and where is there an opportunity for you to have a niche. And so for me, the niche was, well, let's just focus on our technology and the face. And let's do anti-aging, because that's where the money was. And also in time, I developed a second niche, and that was in acne. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But so it was that, and then looking around to see, I also was very keen on promoting the use of clean products. And there's a story that kind of led me to why that was as well. But nobody was really doing a lot with the organic idea, and sort of more natural, holistic thing. And that was something from the very beginning that I really promoted. And then the second piece was knowing who your customers were going to be. So once you figure out what you can offer, then it's like, well, who's going to appeal to this? And then you do those like the social demographic criteria on what your ideal customer would look like. And for me, that ideal customer was basically a woman, 30 to 65, I living on the west side of Vancouver, which is where I'm based. And the secondary market that came out of that was that they had kids, and those kids would have acne. And that's where acne sort of came into the fold for me
They
in time.
each other really well, and you already had basically two avatars all ready to start with. I mean, now when we go to business coaching, we're like, find your avatar, and you already had those ahead of time, which is amazing.
Totally. And the thing is now what's happening, I mean, I invested from that. You can, once you have those two things you figured out, you can do your marketing plan. How am I going to get to those customers, and how am I going to differentiate myself from my competition? And so I was very clear that I wanted to focus, on particular things: holistic, technology, acne, and anti-aging, and again, the face. And then as I expanded the business, we added those other components. We added the acne piece. Then I got into the body program when I found the LPG machine from France, which is the only one that really works on cellulite, which is every woman's biggest body complaint. Yeah, is cellulite, and what can I do about it? And again, the fact that it's 100% natural. 24,000 clinics in France use this technology. It's a huge business.
Oh, so you mean French women don't just come by this naturally?
No, and they get to eat what they want and drink red wine, and they don't get.
We got to talk a little bit more. I'm not just going to work on the face from now on at your clinic.
Great. It was a full circle thing to really offer that head to toe, clean, organic, natural, but effective solutions, right, for the face and for the body. And that's where I am today. I mean, I've got 6 rooms. I have renters that do rent some space from me. I also, last year, I decided to, the busiest people in my clinic, I'm after tax dollars, right? I'm disposable income. The busiest people in my clinic, I've got 2 renters. One is an RMT, a registered massage therapist, and the other is a physiotherapist. Both of them are very good. And they're the busiest because why? They have medical insurance coverage. People have extended health coverage. They can use their services. And so I saw that. And for me, it's about, as a business owner, every time a room sits empty, I lose, it's money that you never see again. So my challenge to myself was, okay, I only use 2 out of the 6 rooms for my aesthetics business. How can I leverage those other rooms? And so I decided to go pursue, to get a business license to do a wellness center so that I could bring in people who could work under my new brand, which is Holistica Wellness. I created a second brand. And then we could work together. So I have an acupuncturist, and then I have some other people in the mix that I'm constantly looking for people who want to join. RMTs are hard to find. They're the most popular. But, that's the sort of the evolution of that concept will be to bring in like-minded practitioners and really create a holistic setting, inside out wellness, where we still focus on our piece, the aesthetics piece.
That's awesome. And that's where you were before the doors shut.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because the writing on the wall was really already back in January. I mean, we were seeing what was happening in China, and it would be naive even then to think that this wasn't going to affect us. And, as a business owner, you have to mitigate risk as much as possible, and you have to have some planning and foresight into what was coming. But when it does hit you, and you don't know when, it's still really hard. And so, I basically had to, on March 21st, when Dr. Bonnie Henry basically said all personal services were having to shut, that was it for us. We had to sort of close down. And, but I have to say,
I have a friend who is an RMT, and she said, she's like, because when she first started, part of the training that she got was, if you're going to be in this business, you need 3-month buffer. And I was like, wow, who taught you that? Because for most women, that's what I'm like, you need a certain amount of money, you need to make a certain amount of money each month, and you need to put a certain amount of buffer in the bank and have some backup systems. And, most of us don't. I mean, that's just a fact. But I love that as an RMT, she was taught that. So she hasn't had to worry for a couple of months, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, that's the goal for us personally as well, right? In fact, they say 6 months if you're, for personal reasons, for personal survival, to have that. But, Vancouver is a very challenging market, and I will say this, and I don't like to be talk negative stuff, but we are, the industry that I'm in is actually changing a lot as well. It's being overtaken by doctors. Doctors are buying up clinics. There's a lot of big industry that's now moving into the
Well,
smaller
my medical
independent.
doctor became, she just does beauty and Botox now, right?
That's right.
And I
That's
lost
right.
I lost like my favorite doctor that I've ever had because I'm in the middle of still healing from a concussion, and she was so amazing. Whistler doctors are always, um, they always hit it out of the park. We have all the best of the best people here, and so but I mean, she's got small kids at home, and she's got to get the most bang for her buck, and obviously that's in aesthetics, and she's rocking it. Very proud of her. But yeah, like you said, that the actual, I mean, if you're gonna have the choice, you're gonna go to a medical doctor, or you're gonna pick the medical doctor if it's gonna be the same price, right? Which is really interesting. And like you said too, though, I think the other challenge is because we're on the West Coast, with the ladies meeting, for example, I'll have zero RSVPs 2 days ahead of time, and then all of a sudden I'll have 30 people show up. And so that's
Yeah.
a challenge for any business as well, where you go from zero to, oh, you all want to come all of a sudden. And we're so weather dependent too. And I'm assuming that might affect your business a little bit as well. Like,
Oh, the weather, the season, definitely. I mean, we have our high times, which is generally end of January to, June. Summer's quiet. August is really quiet generally. And then we're busy September to mid-December, and then Christmas season quiet again until the end of January. That's the typical season. Although, I mean, I have to say we hit a really great momentum that started with me last year. And we were on such a good flow, and like I said, February is my best month ever. In fact, a 20% increase over my best month previously. And that to me, honestly, is the worst thing about having to shut down when we had to in March, because it cut my momentum right to the nothing. And so, the hope now is that we're going to be able to rebuild. And I started a membership program a few years ago, that was another goal that I set, with my staff, that we're going to sell X, number of memberships. So, having those goals and having things that we're trying to shoot for every year is really important in anything in life. That it's important in running your business. And I think, I've worked with coaches regularly for the last, I would say, 6 years. And I think that has been very instrumental in creating that momentum in the business, and also looking at ways that I can differentiate myself from other skincare clinics and spas. And I've done that through various things. Marketing specifically, I really now have the formula for what works for me from a marketing context, but also making myself a subject matter expert in particular things. So I wrote a couple of books. I do some workshops that I've created, because I have this passion and this interest in promoting wellness around mitigating the toxic load that our bodies are exposed to every day with everything.
and having
So,
those multiple streams of income as well.
yeah, and I'm a big believer in that as a business owner. I mean, I know that for most spa owners, they focus only on their business. And there's lots of people that say that's the right way, but I've never been prone to that thinking. I've always believed in having multiple streams of income. And that's just my personality. I get bored very easily. I like challenge. I like variety. I have good people now working with me that I can delegate a lot of the stuff that I don't enjoy doing. And that's a constant sort of evolution as well. I mean, my ultimate goal, like, I have a 10-year plan. I was talking about this morning with somebody. I think when you start a business, you need to have a vision of what the exit strategy is from the beginning. What do you see yourself doing? How are you getting out of this?
Yeah, it's
And
funny.
that's what I'm working
I mentioned exit plan to a lot of people who are still just going into, they're so in love with their business and they've put their name on it. And it's like, well, what if you want to sell it? What's your exit plan in 5 years? What do you want to do? It's like, what do you mean?
on.
Well, the other thing too is, it's like, what's your shotgun clause for yourself? If in 3 to 5 years this isn't working, what's your exit plan as well? Like, are you just going to shut the doors? Are you going to try and sell it? Or what do you mean if it's not working? It's like, well, I mean, many, many times people get into something that they are not in love with anymore, and they're not doing well, and they're distracted. And so that you see them running multiple businesses instead of letting something that's not working go, because they didn't create a plan for, I mean, letting go is a plan for success sometimes. When it's like, okay, we're going to try this for this amount of time. If it's working, or maybe there's no market for it, what are you going to do? What's your plan? What's your timeline? So a lot of people just don't even have that shotgun clause or an exit strategy. that.
It's a hard thing for people to get their heads around because they're so, like you said, enthusiastic about it now. But I just think it's irresponsible to not know, what are you trying to get out of this? Why are you doing this? What is it for you that this business brings you? For some, it's just an ego play. They will have a fancy restaurant. I can eat in a restaurant. I can own a restaurant because there's just something, there's some sort of they get out of it, some vibe, some feeling out of it. But is that something that's sort of long term, or is that really sort of feeding your soul? And I just know me as I'm somebody that's constantly, so I'm very self-aware, and I'm learning things all the time and expanding. And that's the next phase for me. I see very differently about the things that I want to do, and it's not being tied to a bricks and mortar business anymore. Like I feel, so I have this plan in the next few years to most likely sell it, is what I'd like to do, and then be able to move on to that sort of next phase, which is really an online world that I'm creating now. I'm starting that process now.
We got forced into it. And you said you've made some online sales too. Was that correct?
Yeah, so I created an online store about 2 years ago, a Shopify site called myskinsalon.com. And that's where we sell a lot of our professional grade products. And so, I'm in touch with clients about that. I've got it on my website. They can purchase that 24/7. And so this past week, just sort of been focused on updating that, making sure I have all my products in there. I have a couple of new ones. One of my suppliers dropped off from me the other day. I also have an eBay store where we sell some stuff as well. So that's fun for me, kind of like, because it's a bit new, and that I get to spend some time. How do I promote it? And I am taking a digital marketing program with it's called Six Figure Mentors, and I've been learning a lot about.
Still around? Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're a very powerful group. I love them. One of my spiritual mentors is a woman named Landria Anka, who I listen to all the time. I love her straightforwardness, and she's the reason I got into it. Actually, I just really resonate with her, and she's doing very well.
Part of the original tribe when they first.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. With the British guy.
Yeah, there was actually two of them, and the British guy went one way, and yeah. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from them. Actually, I would say the coffee house probably was one of the reasons it exists, because of them. What they did is they were one of the first people to have an online coffee meeting. They had a little spot in the middle of the screen that would show people just chatting in the middle of the day, like you could do. It was just online coaching, and they were the first people to really do that. It was very cool.
They're really, what I like about them is that they're very much about community. They really are about supporting their community, working together. I don't feel like there's not this competition thing that you always get. There's not a hard sell component. And so to me, those are the kind of people that I align to, they really care about making a difference in the world. I think that's what drives me with anything that I do. It's like, how can I contribute something to this world in a positive way? And that's, through my business, through the work I do as a trustee, through being a parent, being a friend to somebody. Like, what can I do to be a good person and contribute? And I think if you're on that sort of path, I mean, life is way better. It's an energetic thing. Positive.
It makes it a lot more fun. And like I was talking to you a little bit earlier today, I'm finding that the people who have these paid jobs, they get to take 2 weeks off for COVID or however much, they're going home with 30 days pay, and they're used to having that schedule, but they're not entrepreneurs. And I find that the entrepreneurs are stuck at home, not getting paid, are the ones that are busy all day long, working twice as hard.
We have to hustle. Yeah.
It's really interesting and not lost at all in this. It's just like, okay, we're used to falling on our butts and getting stuck at home and having to do, to figure it out, so it's interesting to see where this all comes out in the end.
Well, I call it's this notion of having grit and resiliency. I think you can't be an entrepreneur and not have grit. Because you're constantly.
Actually did a talk at the ladies' meeting, and I think she did a blog post on it, and it was called Grit. And she had really just talked about how you just got to keep going.
Find a way. If you fall down, figure out what happened, get back up again. I mean, that's a constant thing, and it's so much more meaningful when you actually find the solution, or when you get that first taste of success, or when you're like, oh my God, I got that first sale, or oh my God, we sold a whole bunch of memberships this month, and we got our best month ever. I mean, we celebrated that with bubbly and chocolate in February with my staff, because it was such a big goal for me that I'd had on two fronts. We had two goals that month, and you have to celebrate those kind of achievements, right? Figure out what you want, write it down,
That
focus.
personal resilience too, to overcome stuff like this. Blair Kaplan was on the Coffee House last week as well, and she actually has a talk called on resilience, and she's writing a book and creating a program because she's been through some really tough stuff in the last couple of years, and she's an entrepreneur that, you know, still had to show up for her chamber meetings and all these things. And it's like, we have to, resilience is a skill. It's a learned skill. And it doesn't just necessarily happen. You're with six-figure mentors, you've taken coaching, and you know these things that help you come back faster from the bumps in the road, the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. My latest thing, so I've always loved the subject of money. And so I've read the books and studied people. And now I'm really into Bitcoin. I'm learning a lot about how that works. And so that's another another sort of level of money making, right? It's a multiple stream of income that could potentially be something. And I think that's, again, from a small business perspective or any business perspective, there's passive ways that we can make money that we don't always know about when you're just
if anyone's interested, we did a Coffee House Network on this, so it'll be up in the podcast. I'm just uploading all the podcasts for that right now. They're on YouTube right now, though. If you go to Anissa Jane on that channel there, it's up, but it'll be up on the podcasting, the Coffee House Network as well. So yeah, that was, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know about Bitcoin, it's just, you know, it's always better to be informed. Even if you don't know what it is and you don't plan on investing in it, be informed in case you see an opportunity come by about what it is and how it is being used in your world. Because it is.
That's right, because it is being used. It's being used in business. People are accepting it for their services or products. So it's not going away. I mean, Bitcoin's been around for many years.
The foundational programming of it, the blockchain, I mean, big businesses are already using that to do tracking. And so, you know, getting informed on how you can utilize something that big business is already doing will be great.
Yeah, lots of opportunity out there. Business can look like lots of things. You could be one person.
So in the gym business, they've already started launching videos on how to relaunch your gym business and stuff like that. So as you go to relaunch, just because we've got a few more minutes here, as you go to relaunch, what's your top priority as you go to relaunch your spa business? Like, say, top 4 or 5 things.
It's important to keep in touch with your clients and keep them engaged and let them know what's going on. Client care, it's always been really, really important to me, that customer experience. I think making sure that you have your physical asset in shape. So I've been going to my clinic every 3 months. I'm, looking at, actually I'm going to do every 3 days. I'm sorry, every 3 days. That would not be good. My insurance company apparently insists that it's every 3 days. And then I'm going to do a physical inventory of everything too, just to make sure that I've got that in place. So just having my administration in order, having my marketing lined up, creating content right now to keep the flow out there on my social media platforms, doing some blogging, taking care of the problems, the little niggly problems that I've had. So today I have a call with my IT guy. So just getting prepared so that keeping engaged with my staff, making sure they're okay. And, I'm confident, I think we're going to have to ramp up pretty slowly to get, once the phones start ringing again. Right. But letting people know that when we know, and letting people know when we're ready for business. Because I know one thing is people are going to be running to their estheticians. They're going to be running to their providers to get things done, right? To get the hair taken care of, to get the waxing done, the pedicure and the facials and the body programs, getting massages, because everyone's dying to be touched and hugged and all those things.
Don't even get me started.
So I think we're going to be ready for all of that when it does happen. And I think we've all had a break in the meantime, a chance for us to connect with our families, to take care of ourselves, to really hopefully hone in on ourselves. What do we want for the rest of this year? What do we want to get accomplished by the end of December that we can really focus on and get some momentum going with that again? Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the reasons in the next session for people that are coming back on here, if they want to find the session, it'll be recorded. I'm doing a flash mastermind on clarity because, seeing where we want to go forward is going to be so important, and really knowing where you want to go because you get there faster.
Definitely.
And hopefully you'll get back up to that point where you're celebrating, and please invite me for champagne next time. When you're celebrating that
for your facial.
next milestone, for sure. I'm missing it because I actually, one of the best, I know it sounds terrible, but I was like, what are you talking about? The best advice. Sorry, what's my esthetician's name?
Desiree or Kadi?
Taddy?
The Kadi with a K. But,
She told me, she's like, just use Vaseline on your lips. And like, I've been stuck. I'm like, oh, my lips are killing me. I think I've just been drinking too much coffee. But it's the best thing. Just
good
Vaseline.
old Vaseline, for sure. And we don't like what's in it always, but I agree. We got super dry skin or something, you got to take care of your skin. It's always exposed. Your face is always exposed, which is why it's important to take care of it.
Tell her
And
I
there's
miss
little things with it.
her.
What was that? Sorry.
I miss her on my face.
Yes, I will let her know.
Okay, well, if people want to find you after, once everything's back up and open, or find you online, how do they find you?
So it's dermabrightclinic.com, and Bright is BRIGHT. And at Dermabright are my social media icons. So you can find me on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel as well. And yeah, anytime, shoot us on I have a contact page, of course, on my
And you do
website.
consulting as well, right? For people in the spa business, or?
If people are interested to talk, I mean, my specialty has always been marketing and human resources, which are two of the biggest pain points for most spas. And I can certainly, advise people on some basics to do with that. I've talked professionally on the subject at the spa shows, so it's definitely an area that's near and dear to me, and happy to chat with anyone that's in the business that needs some advice on that.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap for today, and I'm going to stop our recording here.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you live and in person as well.
Yes, yeah, we'll see you soon.